Hello everybody, thanks for tuning in. Today I'm fulfilling a request that I get all the time, and that is how to play the low whistle. So today I'm going to give you guys some basic tips on how to get started with low whistle, how I keep mine, how I store it, play it, etc. So low whistle seems to be the natural progression from tin whistle or penny whistle, the higher whistles, to a lower whistle. Lower whistles are obviously much longer, fatter, heavier and wider than high whistles, and that's purely to get the volume, the sound and the notes that play correctly in the key that your whistle is in. Now, as you can see, I've got an MK Pro low D whistle. It came in this gorgeous, it's almost a felted wool case. Inside, I've got a whistle in a nice green colour, and I made this, guys. I made a little cleaning cloth, so I sewed a little tube here with a bit of ribbon on the end, and I actually keep this inside the whistle because it soaks up any extra moisture left inside. And this little sticky here is from spinning plates. So yeah, I just use this to clean the inside of my whistle. Now, you guys may have a similar device for smaller whistles. Ta-da! But this particular whistle is metal throughout. It's an alloy whistle, as far as I know. I think so. I've never looked into that. But yeah, pretty sure it's an alloy whistle. As it's metal throughout, it does need to be dry in order for it to not rust. When I first started using it, I didn't pay that much attention to drying the mouthpiece. So yeah, there are a few little bits of paint missing at the top here, so it is very important if you do have a low metal whistle to keep it dry. Now, I do have a video on how to clean this whistle and how I do clean this whistle. I don't clean it very often. I don't play it as often as I used to, partially because it's quite loud and I don't want to put off the new neighbours at the moment. But yeah, I always clean it if you get a cold or if you've been ill in any way, then I clean the whistle. And obviously if it's got obvious signs of dirt or if it's not sounding its best, then that is when I clean my whistle. Now, with regard to playing a whistle, this particular whistle, as I said, is a low D. The main difference is obviously the size of the ball. It's quite a thick pipe here, and the spacing and size of the holes. Now, this particular whistle, I can reach the top 3 holes and cover them quite easily and comfortably with my left hand. But the bottom 3, it is far too much of a stretch to cover the 3 holes. So what I do here is use what's called the piper's grip. Now, you'll see this all over the internet with regard to low whistles, the piper's grip. So rather than using the pads of your fingers, the fingertips, the pads here, what you actually do is you use the pad of the 3rd finger, and then you use the middle section of the middle finger and then the first section of your first finger. So you're using 3 different parts of your finger to cover the bottom holes. Now, some whistlers, especially people with smaller hands, will need to use the piper's grip on the top as well. So you'll be holding your whistle like this, nowhere near the tips of your fingers for most of the holes. But like I said, I manage quite easily with the top 3 holes, just a normal finger pad coverage, and the bottom holes I do use the piper's grip. Now, this can take a bit of getting used to. If you do get a low whistle and at first you can't reach those holes on the bottom or at the top, don't give up. I spent about 4 hours straight when this arrived just to get my hands used to the stretch. It might take you a few weeks, a few months. It might take you a lot of practice, but you will do it. It's not about your hands being too small. It's just about your hands getting used to the stretch. Piano players have the same problem. Some people can't reach the full octave, but over time your hands will stretch. So you can do some stretching techniques, just spreading your fingers apart as far as you can and holding it there for a few minutes. Anything like that will help you get that stretch, but the most important thing is to just keep trying and practicing, and your hands will get used to the distance between the holes. Now, some whistle makers do make offset holes for different hands. So whether you're left-handed and you use your whistle the other way around, or you're right-handed like me and you use your whistle right hand on the bottom, you can get holes offset so they come around the whistle. And this does make it easier for smaller hands because you don't need to put your fingers across the front of the whistle as much. They can slide around the corner. And as I said, this can be done if you do contact the makers. It can be done on either side in a lot of cases. I know sheer water whistles do this. I have owned some sheer water whistles in the past. So yeah, great person to contact if you're concerned or you've tried low whistle before and you didn't manage the finger stretch. But like I said, you will, guys, so just keep at it, okay? Now, with regard to the amount of air you need, obviously with low whistles, it's a bigger instrument, it's a bigger bore, it's a larger mouthpiece. You do need a lot more lung power to push into the second octave in particular. This whistle isn't too bad. It will need a warm up though before I attempt to play, so bear with me. The easiest way to warm up a whistle, guys, if you don't know, is to cover this little section here and blow. And that pushes warm air through the whistle and just brings the metal up to the room temperature that you're in, or a bit more of a warm temperature to match the air that you put through it when you play. So, getting into the second octave, as I said, can be quite a push. I have done a video previously on directing the airflow through the mouthpiece. So, yeah, if you think about blowing through a narrow straw, that's going to force your air in a more direct manner through the mouthpiece. So when you do get to the second octave, that might help you give a bit of a push. So I'll just give you a quick little play of the first octave. Now, the MK Pro whistle does have a curved windway, which means you don't require as much air as some other whistles to push into the second octave. The higher up you go, obviously, the more air you need. Yeah. So that's about all there is to it. The most difficult thing to get over, I suppose, is the finger spacing. Everything else is exactly the same as tin whistle. So if you play a D tin whistle and you want to move on to a low D whistle, everything you've played, you can play on here using the same finger patterns that you used for everything else. So yeah, if you wanted to play Concerning Hobbits, it would be exactly the same on this whistle as if I picked up a high D whistle. So it's a nice sounding instrument. It gives you something else to work on that you should already almost be able to play. Once you get used to the fingering and the extra breath, then you should be away. Honestly, guys, that is literally all there is to it. Now, this particular whistle does come apart. This is a tuning slide. The reason this whistle has this is basically so that you can play with other instruments and you can adjust the tuning of the whistle so that you play in tune with other instruments. Again, because it's a metal whistle, depending on the weather, some weather conditions make it play more in tune or less in tune. So if you need any little tweaks, you can do that. You may not hear the difference. So you can see if you do put a stupidly huge gap, you can hear the difference. I tend to go for a few millimeters gap, I suppose. 4-5 mil at most. So yeah, that is the ins and outs of this whistle. It is that simple. The mouthpiece, this one is molded, as I've said. You blow into it, you put it in your mouth, you blow into it the same way as you do with any other whistle. Now, one thing people get concerned about with low whistle is ornaments. Because the holes are a little bit further apart, it can take you a while to get good at playing fast on a low whistle, purely because it's larger, it requires more air, and there's more space, so there's a little bit more work for your fingers to do. The whistle itself is heavier, it will be heavier, so it might make your wrists ache or your hands ache when you first start because of the additional weight. Plastic or polymer whistles are lighter than alloy whistles, so do bear that in mind if you think you'll have a problem with the weight. This one is particularly heavy, but I'm completely used to it, so not a problem anymore. Did make my thumbs hurt when I first started. You don't actually need any extra pressure to cover the holes. It just takes a little bit of getting used to positioning so that you get good hole coverage. The holes themselves are larger, so if you have small fingers, you might find it difficult to cover the hole. Thin fingers. But it is about positioning, so you shouldn't really have a problem with that. When it comes to ornaments, I mean, you just do the same thing. So if you wanted to do a slide, obviously because you've got your fingers covering the hole a little bit more, that can make things a little bit different. So once again, it might just be that the ornaments take a little bit of getting used to. So that is it for low whistle. If you are considering buying one, I can definitely recommend it. They're good fun to play. A lot of them are a little bit louder in some cases than tin whistles, but the notes tend to be softer because they're deeper, they're a little bit more mellow. And they do play very well with other instruments as well. Always got a good bit of volume on them. I have recently been given a 5% discount code by for Dogue Whistles. So they do have a few low whistles on their website, so it might be worth checking out. You will get a 5% discount. Just head over to their website. All the details are in the description below, and use the coupon code QTPie5. I know they've got some Shaw low whistles on there, Chieftain I think as well, so might be worth a look. 5% discount is always better than no discount in my opinion. So yeah, as I said, links all in the description below. Thanks for watching. I hope this simple little video helped. If you have any questions, hit me up in the comments. Don't forget to watch my other videos here on YouTube. And as always, until next time, happy whistling. What else was I gonna say? Forgot what else I was gonna say. The weight? The air, the tuning slide, ornaments.